Okay, let's do the Mangalacharan, and we will be discussing chapter 13 of third canto today. It's appearance of Lord Varahadev. Very auspicious day today, Ekadashi. So we are very fortunate to have this Bhagavatam session and hear about Lord Varahadev on this wonderful day. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Yuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. In the last session, we have discussed chapter 12, creation of Kumaras and others by Lord Brahma. This is the discussion between Maitreya and Vidura taking place, and Vidura is asking questions and Maitreya is responding to his Vidura's questions. And so Lord Brahma had several challenges in his creation. First, he created 5 types of ignorances, and he was very dissatisfied. Later, he created 4 Kumaras, and they say and asked them to produce children. But they were completely dedicated to Lord Vasudeva. So they said that they want to remain celibates and completely dedicate their life to Lord Krishna. Then Shiva, out of anger, Shiva came through the place in between the eyebrows. And Shiva created, but the living entities created by Shiva caused disturbance. And later, Brahma had a distraction with Vak, his daughter, and he also created other children like Marichi, Narada, etc. But they did not produce children either. So he had, so many issues while creating, but he moved forward. He did not stop. When there is a problem comes, we have to move forward. That is the nature of this world. But every time he was keeping the Lord in the center. He was always thinking about the Lord. He was purifying his mind by meditating on the Lord, by chanting the holy names of the Lord, like that. At the end, Lord Brahma created a Swayambhu Manu and Shatarupa from his own body, male and female expansion, and it is said that. So they created a progeny. They had 2 sons and 3 daughters. So that is what mentioned in the previous chapter. So this is a continuation from the previous chapter. Let's get the ball rolling. So could we ask someone to read the first 5 verses, please? If Madhav Kumar is not here, yes, someone can read. I'll share the screen and just give me 1 second.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I read?
Yeah, just 1 second, Mataji. Okay, chapter 10. Sure. So first 5 texts, Mataji, please.
Yes, Prabhuji. The appearance of Lord Varaha. Sri Sukadev Goswami said, O king, after hearing all these most virtuous topics from the sage Maitreya, Vidura inquired further on the topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which he adored to hear. Text 2 Vidura said, O great sage, what did Swambhuva, the dear son of Brahma, do after obtaining his very loving wife? Text 3 O best of the virtuous, the original king of kings, Manu, was a great devotee of the personality of Godhead Hari, and thus it is worth hearing of his sublime character and activities. Please describe them. I am very eager to hear. Text 4 Persons who hear from a spiritual master with great labor and for a long time must hear from the mouths of pure devotees about the character and activities of pure devotees. Pure devotees always think within their hearts of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, who awards his devotees liberation. Text 5 Sri Sukadev Goswami said, the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna was pleased to place his lotus feet on the lap of Vidura because Vidura was very meek and gentle. The sage Maitreya was very pleased with Vidura's words, and being influenced by his spirit, he attempted to speak.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So this section in this chapter is inquiries by Vidura. You can see. So in the previous chapter, he heard that Brahma created Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa. So he just wanted to know more about them. And here it is said, Vidura was very much inclined to hear these topics. And the text one we can see, he says, the word Adruta is significant because it indicates Vidura had a natural inclination for hearing the transcendental message of the personality of Godhead, and he was never fully satisfied through continuing hearing those topics. He wanted to hear more and more so that he could be more and more blessed by the transcendental message. So maybe Vidura, we should seek blessings from Vidura so that we will get a little taste for hearing. And the more we hear, the more taste we get. The less we hear, definitely the less. So the main thing is some or other we should keep on hearing because currently we are, we are into material things day in and day out. So we'll not be able to fully develop the taste for hearing Krishna Katha. But if we keep hearing every day, then we develop even more taste. Hearing and serving of the devotees of the Lord, these two things simultaneously should be done. And then he wanted to know more about this Swayambhuva Manu. We talked about Manus. There will be 14 Manus that come in one day of Brahma. So the first Manu in this day of Brahma was Swayambhuva Manu. He was created from the body of Lord Brahma. So he was mentioning that, what did he do? Yes, he was created by Lord Brahma. Then what did he do? This Swayambhu Manu is one of the Mahajans in the Srimad Bhagavatam. There are 12 Mahajans names were mentioned. A Mahajan is a great devotee, pure devotee of the Lord. So Swayambhu Manu is one of the Mahajans. His name comes in this particular verse: Swayambhu Manu, Narada Shambhu Kumara Kapilo Manu, Prahalada Janako Bhishma Bhalir Vayasa Vayam. Like that, there are 12 personalities names were given. And Vidura says that, I would like to hear more about this Manu. It's good to hear about the devotees. And it's Prabhupada writes a beautiful purport to the text 3. Like sometimes you may ask, hearing about the pure devotees of the Lord will have same results of hearing about the Lord. So here it says that why should we hear about, Maitreya says that he is a great devotee, Swayambhu Manu. So I want to hear about him. And Prabhupada writes in the little purport, Srimad Bhagavatam is full of the transcendental topics of the personality of God and his pure devotees. In the absolute world, there is no difference in quality between the Supreme Lord and his pure devotees. Therefore, hearing the topics of the Lord and hearing the character and activities of the pure devotees have the same result, namely the development of devotional service. So we should also try and hear Prabhupada more and more. Possible, please read Leela Amrita, Prabhupada Leela Amrita. It is like a Bhagavatam. And so he was, it is said that Vidura was such a great personality that when Lord used to go to Hastinapur and dine in his place, sometimes he used to, when he was resting, he used to place his foot in the lap of Vidura while taking rest. So Maitreya said, you are such a great personality, because Lord used to place his feet on your lap. So let me describe the pastimes as you inquired. So then he begins speaking. So next section we will do from 6 to 13, please. Who else is there? Anybody would like to read?
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Please, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Haribol.
Text 6. The sage Maitreya said to Vidura, after his appearance, Manu, the father of mankind, along with his wife, thus addressed the reservoir of Vedic wisdom, Brahma, with obeisances and folded hands. Text 7. You are the father of all living entities and the source of their substance, because they are all born of you. Please order us how we may be able to render service unto you. Text 8. O worshipful one, please give us your direction for the execution of duty within our working capacity, so that we can follow it for fame in this life and progress in the next. Text 9. Lord Brahma said, my dear son, O Lord of the world, I'm very pleased with you, and I desire all blessings for both you and your wife. You have without reservation surrendered yourself unto me with your heart for my instructions. Text 10. O hero, your example is quite befitting a son in relationship with his father. This sort of adoration for the superior is required. One who is beyond the limit of envy and who is sane accepts the order of his father with great delight and executes it to his full capacity. Shall I read text 11, Prabhuji?
Yes, 13, up to 13.
Oh, 13, okay. Text 11. Since you are my very obedient son, I ask you to beget children qualified like yourself in the womb of your wife. Rule the world in pursuance of principles of devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus worship the Lord by performance of yajna. Text 12. O king, if you give proper protection to the living beings in the material world, that will be the best service for me. When the Supreme Lord sees you to be a good protector of the conditioned souls, certainly the master of the senses will be very pleased with you. Text 13. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardana, Lord Krishna, is the form to accept all the results of sacrifice. If he is not satisfied, then one's labor for advancement is futile. He is the ultimate self, and therefore one who does not satisfy him certainly neglects his own interests. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Mataji. So here in this section, Maitreya is describing, Maitreya is describing what Manu had done after he was created by Lord Brahma. So Manu, Swayambhu Manu, he simply surrendered himself to himself and his wife both to his father, Lord Brahma, and asked what they should do for Lord Brahma. And they were very obedient. So Brahma was very pleased with them. And so Brahma said, so in text 11, there were 3 instructions for Manu and his wife. So number 1, beget children similar to you in quality. So this is one instruction. Yeah, Manu was a great personality, great devotee of the Lord. So beget children similar to you in quality. Number 2, rule the earth religiously. And third is worship the Lord through sacrifices. And in the next text also, he gives further instructions. If you do this, these are the instructions. If you do this, you will do the highest service unto me and to the Lord, and the Lord will be very pleased with you. So, so if we read the text 11, text 11. So we'll read the purport. Maybe Manjula Mataji, you raised your hand. Would you like to read the purport?
Yes, Prabhu, I can. The purpose of material creation by Brahma is clearly described herein. Every human being should beget nice children in the womb of his wife as a sacrifice for the purpose of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotional service. In the Vishnu Puran, it is stated, one can worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu by proper discharge of the principles of Varna and Ashram. There is no alternative to pacifying the Lord by execution of the principles of the Varna Ashram system. Vishnu worship is the ultimate aim of human life. Those who take the license of married life for sense enjoyment must also take the responsibility to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. And the first stepping stone is the Varna Ashram Dharma system. Varna Ashram Dharma is the systematic institution for advancing in worship of Vishnu. However, if one directly engages in the process of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it may not be necessary to undergo the disciplinary system of Varna Ashram Dharma. The other sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, directly engaged in devotional service, and thus they had no need to execute the principles of Varna Ashram Dharma.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So, the point here is that every human being should beget nice children as a sacrifice for the purpose of worshipping Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotional service. So Prabhupada used to, tell that you devotees should produce at least 10 children each and make them good devotees. So it is the duty of the parents to cultivate the children very nicely, and at least we should do our bit. We should provide all the necessities for their spiritual progress. So this is a sacrifice. This is the way you worship the Lord. So we should take utmost care to bring children in Krishna consciousness. That should be our life and soul. We should try and do the devotion, and also we should cultivate our children. And what happens is when we do devotion ourselves at home or throughout our life, day in and day out, they pick up also. So we should set a good example for our own children. If we are not strong enough, we can't make them good devotees. So it is very important that we train our children very nicely in spirituality. And if we do that, it's a great service to the Lord. It's a great service to the Lord. So give as much time as possible to your children, in cultivating them in spirituality. There are various ways we can engage. We have to think. If someone is not interested in one devotional aspect, we should think and engage in other aspect. And luckily, Prabhupada created so many activities for us. In some other schools, devotion, like other schools of devotion or spirituality, there is only one path, or like only few engagements. But in our ISKCON, in our school of bhakti, we have several engagements. So we should try and engage our children in devotional service, while they are educated in the modern education system. We should still give this spirituality. And this is Lord Brahma says, if you do this, you will do the highest service unto me, and the Lord will be pleased with you. So in text 13, he says that, and also you should, because he was a king, he was Manu, means that's where, like, from Manu, from him, all the population of this world generated. Mankind came from Manu. You should also give proper protection to all the living entities. And this is a great service to the Lord. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardana, is the form to accept all the results of sacrifice. If he is not satisfied, then one's labor for advancement is futile. So, and he was given few instructions. Beget children similar to you in quality, and rule the earth religiously, and worship the Lord through sacrifices. If you do this, Lord, you do great service to me and also to the Lord, and Lord will be pleased. And if we don't please the Lord, our entire effort is futile. Shramai evai kevalam. All our endeavors that that do not please the Lord is only Shrema Yevai Kevalam. Shrema Yevai Kevalam, useless labor. It's only useless labor. Right. So we'll move on to the next section. It's a long one, 14 to 33, please. Who is going to read?
I can try. I've got a machine in the background, so it may get noisy. I may have to move. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Haribol.
Sri Manu said, sorry, I might have to move. I've got it, the text is going up too high for me to read.
Okay, so maybe I'll ask someone else then. Anil Prabhu, are you okay to read? Or I can ask Kamal Ronia. Yeah. Okay, Anil Prabhu is reading, and then after that I will ask Kamal Ronia. Text 14 onwards. Anil Prabhu, you are muted.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Shri Manu said, O all-powerful Lord, O killer of all sins, I shall abide by your order. Now please let me know my place and that of the living entities born of me. O master of the demigods, please attempt to lift the earth which is merged in the great water, because it is the dwelling place for all the living entities. It can be done by your endeavor and by the mercy of the Lord. Sri Maitreya said. Thus, seeing the earth merged in the water, Brahma gave his attention for a long time to how it could be lifted. Brahma thought, while I have been engaged in the process of creation, the earth has been inundated by a deluge and has gone down into the depths of the ocean. What can we do who are engaged in this matter of creation? It is best to let the Almighty Lord direct us. O sinless Vidura, all of a sudden, while Brahma was engaged in thinking, a small form of a boar came out of his nostril. The measurement of the creature was not more than the upper portion of a thumb. O descendant of Bharata, while Brahma was observing him, that boar became situated in the sky in a wonderful manifestation as a gigantic as a great elephant. Struck with wonder at observing the wonderful boar-like form in the sky, Brahma with great Brahmanas like Marichi as well as the Kumaras and Manu began to argue in various ways. Is this some extraordinary entity come in the pretense of a boar? It is very wonderful that he has come from my nose. First of all, this boar was seen no bigger than the tip of a thumb, and within a moment he was as large as a stone. My mind is perturbed. Is he the supreme personality of Godhead, Vishnu? While Brahma was deliberating with his sons, the supreme personality of Godhead, Vishnu, roared tumultuously like a great mountain. The omnipotent supreme personality of Godhead enlivened Brahma and the other highly elevated Brahmanas by again roaring with his uncommon voice, which echoed in all directions. When the great sages and thinkers who are all residents of Janaloka, Tapoloka, and Satyaloka heard the tumultuous voice of Lord Bor, which was the all auspicious sound of all merciful Lord. They chanted auspicious chants from the three Vedas. Playing like an elephant, he entered into the water after roaring again in reply to the Vedic prayers by the great devotees. The Lord is the object of the Vedic prayers, and thus he understood that the devotees' prayers were meant for him. Before entering the water to rescue the earth, Lord Boar flew in the sky, slashing his tail, his hard hairs quivering. His very glance was luminous, and he scattered the clouds in the sky with his hooves and his glittering white tusks. He was personally the Supreme Lord Vishnu and was therefore transcendental. Yet, because he had the body of a hog, He searched after the earth by smell. His tusks were fearful, and he glanced over the devotee Brahmanas engaged in offering prayers. Thus he entered the water. Diving into the water like a giant mountain, Lord Bo divided the middle of the ocean, and two high waves appeared as the arms of the ocean, which cried loudly as if praying to the Lord. O Lord of all sacrifices, please do not cut me in two. Kindly give me protection. Lord Boar penetrated the water with his hooves, which were like sharp arrows, and found the limits of the ocean. Although it was unlimited, he saw the earth, the resting place for all the living beings, lying as it was in the beginning of creation, and he personally lifted it. Lord Boar very easily took the earth on his tusks and got it out of the water. Thus he appeared very splendid. Then his anger glowing like the Sudarshana wheel, he immediately killed the demon Hiranyaksha, although he tried to fight with the Lord. Thereupon, Lord Boar killed the demon within the water, just as a lion kills an elephant. The cheeks and tongue of the Lord became smeared with the blood of the demon, just as, just as an elephant becomes reddish from digging in the purple earth. Then the Lord, playing like an elephant, suspended the earth on the edge of his curved white tusks. He assumed a bluish complexion like that of a tamala tree, and thus the sages, headed by Brahma, could understand him to be the supreme personality of Godhead and offered respectful obeisances unto the Lord.
Thank you, Prabhu.
All the sage.
Thank
Hare
you, Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So after Manu was thus being instructed by Lord Brahma, Manu noticed that the whole Bhumandala was submerged in the Garbhodaka ocean. So then he asked Brahma, so that is my place, the Bhumandala, earth is my place. So please, can you retrieve the earth so that I can go and populate the earth? So then Brahma was thinking, what can I do? This whole earth got submerged. So by the way, as I said, the earth portion that we are living is only a tiny fraction of entire Bhumandala. Very, very tiny fraction, and we will discuss that when it comes when we are reading 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this entire Bhumandala, so our earth is only fraction of the entire Bhumandala. So entire Bhumandala got submerged in the Garbhodaka ocean. So Brahma was thinking how to retrieve it. He was perplexed. But yes, when the devotees get perplexed, they take shelter of the Lord. This message comes time and again in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So while he was contemplating, so a small boar, which is of a size of upper portion of the thumb, not even full thumb, upper portion of the thumb, little tiny bit, came out of Brahma's nostril, and when the boar came out, and it became huge, a gigantic elephant, like a huge mountain, and roared like anything. This roar was very fearful to the demons, but the devotees of the Lord, they did not get scared of it. And the people, we know that the higher planetary system, Janaloka, Tapoloka, Maharloka, Satyaloka, and those planets doesn't get inundated by the water. So the living beings there looking at this gigantic boar, they offered their prayers, Vedic hymns. So Prabhupada writes in the text 28, I guess. Let's read that. Okay, so Kamal Ronia Prabhu, would you like to read the purport?
Sure, Prabhu. We should always remember that although the body of a hog is material, the hog form of the Lord was not materially contaminated. It is not possible for an earthly hog to assume a gigantic form spreading throughout the sky, beginning from the Satyaloka. His body is always transcendental in all circumstances. Therefore, the assumption of the form of a boar is only his pastime. His body is all Vedas, or transcendental. But since he had assumed the form of a boar, he began to search out the earth by smelling just like a hog. The Lord can perfectly play the part of any living entity. The gigantic feature of the boar was certainly very fearful for all non-devotees, but to the pure devotees of the Lord, he was not at all fearful. On the contrary, he was so pleasingly glancing upon his devotees that all of them felt transcendental happiness.
Thank you. So I thought that's a beautiful little purport we should read. So we should not, one should not think that it is an abominable form, the hog or a boar form. It's the Lord can take any form. We know that he takes the form of tortoise, he takes the form of fish, and he also takes the form of boar, like that. So there are many in every species. Lord descends. Not only even vegetable species. Actually, when we were reading first canto of the 3rd chapter, and it is said that in every species Lord comes. And so even though he appeared as a hog, but he is still transcendental. That is the point Prabhupada makes here. And just by reading about the pastimes, the activities of any form of the Lord will purify us. In the Gita, it is said 4:9. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyatva deham punarjanma na vidyati. So Arjuna. So if we just try and read the transcendental, the activity, appearance and the activities of the Lord are transcendental. They are not material. They're divine. Whatever Lord does is divine. Just by hearing them, we can attain the ultimate benefit. So then he says, Maitreya, then he talks about the Lord, entering into the Garbhodaka ocean, lifted the earth and put it in his place. But he also mentioned that he killed the demon Hiranyaksha. So that is mentioned in text 33, I think. Yeah, so here there is a little bit of explanation required. There are here Maitreya amalgamated 2 pastimes. So we were talking about the first Manu. His name is Swayambhuva Manu. After he was being created by the Lord, he asked Lord Brahma to retrieve the earthly planet, earth from the Garbhodaka ocean. So that happened in the first Manvantara. In the first Manvantara, and now we are in the 7th Manvantara. the pastime of killing of Hiranyaksha demon actually happened in the 6th Manvantara. So in the first Manvantara, Lord appeared as Svetavaraha, white boar. He lifted the earth, and that time he did not kill demon Hiranyaksha. That time he did not kill. He just lifted the earth and put it in his place. Whereas in the 6th Manvantara, Chakshusha Manvantara, so Lord again appeared as Neelavaraha, a color of tamal tree. It is said he assumed a bluish complexion in the 6th Manvantara. So that time, when Hiranyaksha submerged the earth in the Garbhodaka ocean, he lifted the earth and put it in his orbit, and then he killed Hiranyaksha. So these are the two different Varas. So Maitreya, he amalgamated these two and then narrated this pastime. So we can read this purport. Maybe someone else can read the small purport. Who would like to read? Somebody raised their hand earlier.
I'm happy to read you.
Okay, Prabhu. So very small purport.
According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the Vedic literatures describe the incarnation of Lord Varaha boar in two different devastations, namely the Chakshusha devastation and the Swayambhu devastation. This particular appearance of the boar incarnation actually took place in the Swayambhu devastation, when all planets other than the higher ones, Jana, Mahar, and Satya, merged in the water of devastation. This particular incarnation of the boar was seen by the inhabitants of the planets mentioned above. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti suggests that the sage Maitreya amalgamated both the boar incarnation in different devastations and summarized them in his description to Vidura.
Yeah. So just to make a note of that, in the Swayambhuva Manvantara, that is the one we are discussing. That time Lord appeared as Svetavaraha, white boar, whereas Lord appeared as Neelavaraha, blue boar. That is in the 6th Manvantara. That time he killed Hiranyaksha. Okay, so next we will read from text 34 to 45, please. Where do I go? Okay, Madhakumar Prabhu, you want to ask someone?
Yeah, I'll read myself.
Okay.
34 to 45.
Please.
All the sages uttered with great respect, O unconquerable enjoyer of all sacrifices, all glories and all victories unto you. You are moving in your form of the personified Vedas, and in the hair holes of your body, the oceans are submerged. For certain reasons, to uplift the earth, you have now assumed the form of a boar. Text 35. O Lord, your form is worshipable by performances of sacrifice, but souls who are simply miscreants are unable to see it. All the Vedic hymns, Gayatri and others are in touch of your skin. In your body hairs is the kusha grass. In your eyes is the clarified butter, and in your forelegs are the 4 kinds of fruit of activities. Text 36. O Lord, your tongue is a plate of sacrifice. Your nostril is another plate of sacrifice. In your belly is the eating plate of sacrifice, and another plate of sacrifice is the holes of your ears. In your mouth is a Brahma plate of sacrifice. Your throat is a plate of sacrifice known as Soma, and whatever you chew is known as Agnihotra. Text 37. Moreover, O Lord, the repetition of your appearance is a desire for all kinds of initiation. Your neck is a place for 3 desires, and your tusks are the result of initiation and the end of all desire. Your tongue is the prior activities of initiation. Your head is a fire without sacrifice, as well as a fire of worship. And your living forces are the aggregate of all desires. Text 38. O Lord, your semen is a sacrifice called Soma Yagna. Your growth is the ritualistic performances of the morning. Your skin and touch sensations are the 7 elements of the Agni Stoma sacrifice. Your bodily joints are symbols of various other sacrifices performed in 12 days. Therefore, you are the object of all sacrifices called Soma and Asoma, and you are bound by yagnas only. Text 39. O Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are worshipable by universal prayers, Vedic hymns, and sacrificial ingredients. We offer our obeisances unto you. You can be realized by the pure mind, freed from all visible and invisible material contamination. We offer our respectful obeisances to you as the Supreme Spiritual Master of Knowledge in devotional service. O lifter of the earth, text 40, O lifter of the earth with its mountains, which you have lifted with your tusks, is situated as beautifully as a lotus flower with leaves sustained by an infuriated elephant just coming out of the water. Text 41, O Lord, as the peaks of great mountains become beautiful when decorated with clouds, your transcendental body has become beautiful because of your lifting the earth on the edge of your tusks. Text 42, O Lord, for the residential purposes of all inhabitants, both moving and non-moving, this earth is your wife, and you are the Supreme Father. We offer our respectable obeisances unto you, along with Mother Earth, in whom you have invested your own potency, just as an expert sacrificer puts fire in the Arani wood. Text 43. Who else but you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could deliver the earth from within the water? It is not very wonderful for you, however, because you have acted most wonderfully in the creation of the universe. By your energy, you have created this wonderful cosmic manifestation. Text 44. O Supreme Lord, undoubtedly we are inhabitants of the most pious planets, the Jana, Tapas, and Satyalokas. But still we have been purified by the drops of water sprinkled from your shoulder hairs by the shaking of your body. Text 45. O Lord, there is no limit to your wonderful activities. Anyone who desires to know the limit of your activities is certainly nonsensical. Everyone in this world is conditioned by the powerful mystic potencies. Please bestow your causeless mercy upon these conditioned souls. Hare Krishna.
You may actually, there are a few verses. Yeah, you may continue and
okay.
Conclude.
Text 46. The sage Maitreya said, the Lord, being thus worshipped by all the great sages and transcendentalists, touched the earth with his hooves and placed it on the water. Text 47. In this manner, the personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, the maintainer of all living entities, raised the earth from within the water, and having placed it afloat on the water, he returned to his own abode. Text 48. If one hears and describes in a devotional service attitude this auspicious narration of Lord Bol, which is worthy of description, the Lord who is within the heart of everyone is very pleased. Text 49. Nothing remains unachieved when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with someone. By transcendental achievement, one understands everything else to be insignificant. One who engages in the transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfectional stage by the Lord himself, who is seated in everyone's heart. Text 50. Who, other than one who is not a human being, can exist in this world and not be interested in the ultimate goal of life? Who can refuse the nectar of narrations about the personality of Godhead's activities, which by itself can deliver one from all material pangs?
Thank you very much, Prabhu. So here in text 48, it's called Palashruti. What happens when we hear the pastimes of the Lord, or when we hear or describe? So it is said that if one hears or describes in a devotional service attitude, this auspicious narration of Lord Bor, which is worthy of description. The Lord, who is within the heart of everyone, is very pleased. So there is a small purport, I'll read it out. In his various incarnations, the Lord appears, acts, and leaves behind him a narrative history, which is as transcendental as he himself. The history is also as transcendental as he himself. Every one of us is fond of hearing some wonderful narration, but most stories are neither auspicious nor worth hearing, because they are of inferior quality of material nature. Every living entity is of superior quality, spiritual soul, and nothing material can be auspicious for him. Intelligent person should therefore hear personally and cause others to hear the descriptive narrations of the Lord's activities, but that will destroy the pangs of material existence. Out of his causeless mercy only, the Lord comes to this earth and leaves behind his merciful activities so that the devotees may derive transcendental benefit. What a beautiful little purport that is. So Lord is coming, descending to this world, and leaves behind him a narrative story, transcendental pastimes. And why does he do that? They act as a great medicine for our conditioned state. So Prabhupada also mentioned that naturally we are interested in hearing, mundane stories, or mundane movies, etc. But they're of inferior quality. Once someone said to me that by watching a film, we are actually becoming a slave of someone's imagination. Nothing is true. It's an imagination. We are just giving our time to these, for someone's imagination. But we can divert, paramdrushtvani vartate, that what we have to do is we have to engage in higher taste so the lower taste can be given up. So our, devotees from various centers, they've done dramas. Say, for example, I suggest RG Media. If in YouTube, you can search RG Media. In RG Media, you can see so many dramas they put together. The pastimes of the Lord and his devotees are given in the form of nice dramas. So yes, the tendency will be there to watch the movies and things like that, but they can be given up by reading Srimad Bhagavatam. We have so many stories in the Krishna book, and we have Prabhupada entire video documentaries there, isn't it? Prabhupada movies there, so we can watch these movies and satisfy ourselves. So when all these, we read the prayers offered by the living beings of the higher planetary system, Janaloka, Tapoloka, Maharloka. So they offered beautiful prayers, and in one of the prayers they mentioned that in your air holes, entire oceans can be put together. So that's how large the bore was. And in the last verse, Maitreya tells that who other than one who is not a human being can exist in this world and not be interested in the ultimate goal of life? Who can refuse the nectar of narrations about the personality of Godhead activities, which by itself can be delivered from the pangs of material pangs? So we are very fortunate to have this human birth. But the rare is human birth, rarer than that is having the association of devotees. So this little purport, I'll again read. The narrations of the activities of the personality of Godhead like constant flow of nectar. No one can refuse to drink such nectar except one who is not a human being. Devotional service to the Lord is the highest goal of life for every human being. And such devotional service begins by hearing about transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. Only an animal or a man who is almost an animal in behavior can refuse to take an interest in hearing the transcendental message of the Lord, can refuse. There are many books of stories and histories in the world, but except for the histories and narrations on the topics of the personality of Godhead, none are capable of diminishing the burden of material pangs. Therefore, one who is serious about eliminating material existence must chant and hear the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. Otherwise, one must be compared to the non-humans. Prabhupada politely, very politely puts, compared to the non-humans. So we are all very much interested in hearing stories and histories. So we have Mahabharata, we have Ramayana, we have Srimad Bhagavatam, we have various Puranas, and we have 10th Canto, Krishna books full of stories. So it's only a matter of turning our attention, diverting our attention towards these. Then we can enjoy it. Just by hearing, reading, describing these, and we get purified. But otherwise, if you are interested in the normal stories of this mundane world, it only leads to more conditioning. So it's 8 o'clock. I'll stop there. Thank you very much. Anybody has any comments or any questions, any realizations?
Thank you so much, Prabhu. That was wonderful. I think some very practical takeaways. I like.
Haribol Madhakumar Prabhu,
can you hear me?
We can't hear you now.
Now?
Yeah, we can hear him.
With my audio or someone
We
else?
could, yeah, we could hear him.
Okay, yeah, it was my problem. Yeah, my internet is playing up.
Okay, I was just referring to the point you made earlier on that if we bring our children nicely, as per the recommendation of the scriptures, then that's also devotional service. How beautiful that is. Yeah. So some very practical instructions. So it doesn't mean that if we take up devotional service, we have to become sannyasis and give up worldly affairs. That's definitely not the case. I think that's a key message, because sometimes when we encourage family and friends towards spiritual activities, they get scared that they will have to give up all the XYZ activities. So that's definitely not the case, as is mentioned in the purports by Prabhupada. So thank you for highlighting that. And of course, who in their conscious senses would reject or not appreciate what's been given as a message in these wonderful books. So thank you for bringing those points out. Wonderful.
Thank you, Prabhu. Ambada Prabhu raised his hand just to see what he has to say.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yeah, I also just want to express my appreciation of these wonderful reminders and encouragement and association. Thank you so much for taking your time to do this for us.
I would like to thank everyone because of all of us, it's we are able to. This is what happens in the devotee association. We can relish. Everybody feels enlivened when we come together and appreciate the pastimes of the Lord and hear and describe them in the congregation. We automatically enlivened. So yeah, so it's all glories to all of you. Because of you, it's happening. Yeah, thank you so much. Sumit Radhika Matai, thank you again for your comments. And yeah, so over to you, Madhakumar Prabhu, for any announcements.
It's just, I think tomorrow we're trying to do a welcome New Year program online though. In the light of restrictions, we're not able to do it the traditional way of meeting in the temple and then going in the streets to share the holy name. So there'll be an update, WhatsApp update going out tonight about New Year Eve program being online in light of the current restrictions. And as always, calendars are waiting for you to pick and take and distribute to as many friends and families. It's a wonderful way to be remembered throughout the year, and they will remember you every day of the year if you distribute. We've got quite a few left, so if you want to take a few, then please see us in the temple, or we can even post them to any of your friends and family across the country. That's it, Prue, and thank you once again for taking the time out.
Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Varahadev ki jai, Chandra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai,
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo.